Harlow's quiet hum. 400K souls, no marvels. Good schools draw young families to tree-lined suburban streets. Sidewalks get swept by city crews every single morning, even on weekends. Downtown bars fill with clinking glasses and laughter every Friday night. When the work week wraps up, people lock their front doors out of habit, not fear. They leave their garage doors cracked open on warm afternoons to let the breeze through. Neighbors stop to chat on front porches after dinner. Kids ride their bikes alone to the public park after school. For decades, that quiet safety went unchallenged. No serial killers stalked the streets. No violent crime made the national news. No one locked their windows twice before bed or checked the back seat before pulling out of the driveway. It was just normal, just steady, just safe. Then, the pattern emerged. No one saw it at first. It was hidden in plain sight, spread across years in disconnected case files, tucked into file cabinets and forgotten. The first one found was Daniel Marsh. On March 3rd, the 34-year-old accountant was discovered dead in his own car. The car was parked on the third level of the downtown parking garage, tucked into a back corner rarely used by daytime visitors. The cleaning crew making their rounds spotted the tinted window rolled down an inch, caught the smell of old blood, and called it in. When officers pried the door open, they found Daniel slumped over the steering wheel. He had a single gunshot wound to the back of the head. The shot was fired at point-blank range. His leather wallet was gone from his jacket pocket. His smartphone was pulled from its holder on the dashboard, the charging cable left snapped and dangling. By all outward signs, it looked like a textbook robbery gone wrong. A stranger stepped off the street, caught Daniel alone in an empty garage, demanded his valuables, and shot him when he hesitated. Police classified the death that way within 48 hours. But the case fell apart almost immediately. No witnesses came forward to see anything unusual that day. No shell casing turned up on the concrete floor. No usable fingerprints were lifted from the car door or the steering wheel. No one saw a stranger running from the garage after the shot rang out. The investigation stalled within 3 weeks. It went cold in 6 weeks. It was stamped closed, filed into a manila folder, tucked into the back of a cabinet in the records room, and forgotten. No one connected it to anything. No one knew to look. The calendar turned. The seasons cycled through. Harlow City went back to its routine. Sidewalks still got swept every morning. Bars still filled with laughter on Friday nights. No one remembered Daniel Marsh or thought about the empty corner of the third parking garage level. Then, the date rolled around again. On March 3rd of the following year, exactly 12 months to the day after Daniel Marsh's death, 41-year-old high school teacher Sandra Voss was found strangled in her second-floor apartment. A coworker called the police when she never showed up for first period, and no one answered her phone when they rang. Officers broke the front door down because it was locked from the inside. That was the first red flag. There were no signs of forced entry anywhere, no jimmied locks, no broken windows, no scratch marks on the doorframe. When they cleared the apartment and checked the lock, they found the deadbolt still fully engaged, bolt slid all the way home, locked from the inside. Sandra was lying on her couch, fully dressed, no signs of a struggle. No jewelry was taken from her jewelry box. No cash was missing from her wallet on the kitchen counter. Police ran the records and found she had changed the locks on her entire apartment just 2 weeks before her death. It did not help. No leads emerged. No neighbors saw a stranger enter the building that morning. Another year turned. The calendar flipped back to March. Harlow City's routine held steady. Young families still moved into the good school districts. Friday nights still drew crowds to the downtown bars. No one checked the cold case files to compare dates. The pattern stayed hidden, spread across 3 separate manila folders and 3 separate cabinets. Then, March 3rd arrived again. Retired firefighter Gary Odom was found at the bottom of the main staircase in his suburban home by his home health aide, who came in to check on his knee therapy. His neck was broken. His walker lay toppled beside him on the first-floor landing. The responding officers took one look at the scene, one look at Gary's history of chronic knee problems that had him walking with a limp for years, and wrote it off as a simple, tragic accident. The coroner signed off on the ruling before the autopsy was even complete. The case was closed before any detective could pull the case file. No one connected the dots. But Gary Odom's daughter, Rebecca, did not believe the ruling. She stood at the bottom of that staircase after the coroner removed her father's body, looked up at the cracked handrail where her father had held on every single day for 3 years, and knew something was wrong. Rebecca is 29 years old. She works in data analytics for a regional insurance company. She does not believe in coincidences. After her father's funeral, she submitted 3 months of public records requests, one after another, until the county clerk sent over every death report filed in Harlow City for the past 10 years. She drove to the local public library 3 nights a week after work, loaded old issues of the Harlow City Gazette onto the microfilm reader, and scrolled through every page, taking notes on every reported death that didn't have a clear, confirmed cause. She set up a color-coded spreadsheet in Excel on her home computer. She listed every name, every date, every location, every officially ruled cause of death. She cross-referenced every case against every other, looking for anything that linked them. First, she connected the 3 she already knew. Daniel Marsh, March 3rd. Sandra Voss, March 3rd. Gary Odom, March 3rd. 3 different cases, 3 different causes, 3 different detectives, all the same exact date. She widened her search. She pulled every older case from the archives, going back 7 full years. One by one, she entered them into the spreadsheet. She sorted by date. The rows aligned. 1 unexplained death every single year for 7 consecutive years. 7 deaths, 7 different methods, 7 different victims with no obvious connection to each other. Different ages, different neighborhoods, different officially ruled causes of death, but the same date, every year, without exception, for 7 straight years. Rebecca leaned back in her chair, stared at the sorted rows of colored cells on her screen, and felt a cold creep up her spine. The pattern was real. Rebecca printed her full spreadsheet on 3 separate sheets of heavy paper. She highlighted every date in red, drew thick black lines connecting the sorted rows, and put the whole packet into a plain 3-ring binder. She drove down to the Harlow City Police Department the next morning, parked in the visitor lot, and signed in at the front desk. She told the desk sergeant she had new information on a series of unsolved deaths and asked to speak to a detective. A patrol sergeant came out first, looked at her binder, and agreed to pass the request along. An hour later, a veteran detective came out to greet her and led her to a small interview room off the main hallway. He offered her a cup of vending machine coffee. She declined. She opened her binder, laid out the highlighted sheets on the table between them, and started walking him through the pattern. She explained how the first 3 deaths lined up exactly 1 year apart. She showed him the older cases she had pulled from the archives. She walked through the lack of connections between victims, the consistent spacing, the fact that every single ruling had been made without checking for any wider pattern. The detective sat back in his chair, nodded at regular intervals, and tapped a pen against the edge of the table. He did not take any notes. Halfway through her explanation, he held up a hand to stop her. He leaned forward, pushed the highlighted sheets an inch back across the table toward her, and spoke. He told her that March 3rd was just a date. Coincidences happen, especially when you go looking for patterns in thousands of random deaths. He thanked her for coming in, stood up, and held the interview room door open for her. Rebecca closed her binder, picked up her papers, and walked out. Rebecca did not leave Harlow empty-handed. She still had her binder. She still had her spreadsheet. She still knew the pattern was real. That same night, she logged into her Reddit account, pulled a screenshot of her sorted, color-coded spreadsheet, and typed up a summary of what she had found. She listed the dates, the victims, the official rulings, the police dismissal, and posted the whole thing to r/unresolved mysteries. She tagged the post with the relevant keywords, closed her laptop, and went to bed. She expected a few dozen comments. Maybe a handful of people would agree that the date pattern was weird. That was all. She woke up the next morning to 10,000 unread notifications. Within 48 hours, her post had 200,000 upvotes. It was shared across every major true crime community on the internet. Members of those groups cross-posted it to Facebook, to Twitter, to private discussion boards dedicated to unsolved cases. Reporters from national outlets reached out to her for interviews within 3 days. A popular true crime podcast announced they would dedicate a full 3-hour episode to the Harlow pattern. Users on Twitter started attaching the hashtag Clockwork Killer to every post about the case. The name stuck. It fit the methodical, annual pattern perfectly. Thousands of true crime enthusiasts across the world started digging through every public record connected to Harlow City. They combed through old case threads, cross-referenced public social media profiles, and reached out to locals for any off-the-record information they could share. Most leads went nowhere. Most rumors fell apart under scrutiny. But 3 days after the hashtag started trending, something unexpected surfaced. A longtime regular user on a private, invitation-only true crime forum posted a screenshot taken from a locked Facebook group. The group's name was March 3rd Survivors. The screenshot showed the member count, 23. All 23 members listed Harlow City as their current home. All of them claimed to have had a life-threatening close call on March 3rd of some recent year. One described a near-fatal car crash that came out of nowhere, with no clear cause that could be pinned down after the fact. Another reported a strange man loitering on their front porch at dusk, who turned and walked away the second they flipped on the porch light. A third found an unmarked, sealed package left on their doorknob, which they never opened, and which was gone by morning when they called the police. The implication hit the true crime community like a shockwave. The Clockwork Killer does not always succeed. He attempts one murder every March 3rd. When the attempt fails, he does not push for a second try. He does not risk exposure. He simply packs up his surveillance materials, erases any trace he was there, and waits for the following year. He has been following this routine for at least a decade. He never rushes, he never forces a kill, he waits. And he always gets another chance. The pressure grew too great for local officials to ignore. 2 weeks after the survivor group was uncovered, a retired FBI profiler named Dr. Carol Ains agreed to step in and review all of Rebecca's data. She brought decades of experience with organized, patient serial offenders. She knew how to spot patterns even when they were hidden on purpose. She started by checking every obvious connection the police had missed. She cross-referenced victim birth dates, social security numbers, and previous criminal records. She checked if any of them had ever been treated at the same hospital. She checked if they had all used the same local contractor. She checked if they had all donated to the same political campaign. She checked if their immediate families had any overlapping relationships. Every single check came back empty. The 7 confirmed victims had no connection to each other. They did not share doctors, they did not share neighbors, they did not share hobbies. None of them had even one overlapping social media connection. Ains sat back in her chair, stared at the stack of printed case files, and started going through each victim's history one by one, looking for anything that had been marked as irrelevant. That was when she saw it. A tiny, throwaway line in the original police report for Daniel Marsh. It noted he had been featured in the local paper 2 months before his death. Dr. Ains set down the last case file and started reconstructing the full sequence of what the killer does, 1 year to the next. The timeline fits perfectly with the confirmed pattern. Right after he completes one murder on March 3rd, he selects his next victim. He picks someone who has just appeared in the Harlow City Gazette. That gives him a full 12 months to prepare. He does not rush. He never strikes early. He spends those 12 months studying every single detail of his target's life. He learns the route they take to work each morning. He memorizes what time they stop for coffee and what order they place. He learns which days they go to the grocery store, which nights they eat out, what time they lock their doors for the night. He maps the layout of their home. He notes which windows stay unlocked during warm weather. He learns when the neighbors leave for vacation, when the kids go away to college, when the victim visits family out of town. He watches from a distance. He parks down the street and sits in his car with the engine off. He walks past the victim's house at the same time every day, blending in with other people out for exercise or errands. He never gets close enough to be remembered. He never does anything that would make someone glance twice. He never leaves a trace that could connect him to the victim. Once he knows everything he needs to know, he picks a murder method that will look natural for that specific victim. If the victim has bad knees, he stages an accidental fall down the stairs. If the victim walks alone through a downtown parking garage after work, he stages a robbery gone wrong. Every murder is customized to fit the victim's life. That is why no one questioned the deaths for years. That is why the pattern stayed hidden for so long. Dr. Ains cross-referenced the earliest confirmed death with the timeline and concluded he has likely been doing this for 15 years or more. That means there could be dozens of additional victims. Deaths ruled accidental or natural years ago that were actually carefully planned murders. No one noticed the pattern until Rebecca found it. 6 weeks after Rebecca's Reddit post went viral, the front desk of the Harlow City Gazette received a padded envelope in the day's mail. The return address box was completely blank. The postmark was stamped from within Harlow City limits. The address was handwritten in neat, even black ink, with no smudges or slanted strokes. The mailroom clerk almost set it aside with the bulk junk mail. Most unsolicited mail to the paper ended up there anyway. But the neatness of the handwriting caught her eye. She scanned it for tracking, found nothing suspicious, and passed it up to the editor's office. The editor opened it himself at 3 o'clock that afternoon. He pulled out a single sheet of plain white printer paper. The entire message was handwritten in the same neat black ink that marked the envelope. The first line knocked the breath out of him. It read, "She found 7. There are 14. The editor called the police before he finished reading the rest of the page. They locked down the newsroom, pulled security camera footage from the front lobby, and cordoned off the envelope and paper as evidence. Reporters who had been working the story leaned against the newsroom walls, silent, as forensics technicians dusted every surface for prints. Everyone in the room understood what this meant. When police finished processing the envelope and paper, they released the full text of the letter to the public. Every word was deliberate, measured, free of rage or grandstanding. "I have been precise because precision is respect," the letter continued. "I choose carefully. I prepare completely. I do not hate them. I simply find the work satisfying, in a way nothing else has ever been." The words sent a cold chill through the investigation team. This was not a killer hunting enemies. This was not a killer seeking fame or revenge. This was a killer who enjoyed the process, who saw each murder as a project to be completed perfectly, 1 year at a time. There was no anger, no irrationality, no loose thread that might give him away. He was simply a craftsman, and his craft was killing. The next line cut through every theory the FBI had already started building. "You will not find me because I am not findable. I have left nothing, no trace, no connection, no mistake that can lead you back to my door. I will continue on March 3rd, as I always have. The date is not ritual, it is discipline. Discipline is everything." At the bottom of the page, below the signature, he drew a small, perfectly proportioned clock face. 2 hands, both pointed straight at the number 3. Exactly 3:03. He would keep his schedule, he would kill again, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop him. The FBI took over the investigation within hours of the letter being discovered. They pulled every available resource into the case, assigning a full task force of 27 agents to work the problem around the clock. Forensic linguists got the letter first. They analyzed every word, every sentence structure, every turn of phrase to narrow down the killer's age, background, and education. The phrasing was too generic, too deliberately controlled to narrow anything down. They could only confirm the writer was highly literate, and that was it. Next, handwriting experts went over every stroke of the ink, looking for telltale traits that could match existing records. The script was too neat, too deliberately uniform, too practiced to reveal any natural personality quirks. The killer had trained his hand to leave nothing to read. Then paper and ink experts traced the source of both materials. The paper was a standard 20-pound copy paper, sold in every big box store, office supply shop, and grocery store across the entire country. The ink was a standard black ballpoint ink, equally common, equally untraceable. The only lead investigators could pull from the envelope was the postmark. It narrowed the mailing location to a 2-mile radius, right in the heart of Harlow City. That radius held 40,000 individual residents, 40,000 potential suspects. No other evidence could narrow that number down further. Every lead dried up. Every test came back empty. The killer was telling the truth. He had left nothing behind. No thread to pull, no door to open. The FBI had the letter. They had the clock face signature. They had confirmation of 14 dead victims. But they had no idea who to look for. The calendar ticks down into mid-February. March 3rd sits 22 days away, fixed and inevitable on the horizon. The FBI falls back on the only hard pattern they have, Dr. Ains' original finding. Every victim was mentioned briefly in the Harlow City Gazette before their death. They pull every print issue of the paper from the past 12 months and comb through every line, every name, every tiny mention. They cross-reference with the killer's letter, He selects a new victim right after the previous year's murder, which means the next target was chosen 12 months ago, right after Gary Odom's death. They narrow the list down to one most likely candidate, Thomas Hale, a 38-year-old pediatric nurse. His photo ran on page 6 of the print edition 4 months earlier, accompanying a small story about hospital fundraising. He has no idea his name was noticed. He has no idea someone has been watching his routine for almost a year. The FBI moves in that same night. Undercover agents begin following Thomas Hale 24 hours a day, switching shifts every 8 hours to stay fresh and unseen. His home is put under round-the-clock surveillance, with hidden cameras mounted on utility poles across the street to capture every person who enters or leaves his neighborhood. Plainclothes agents are posted inside the hospital where he works, blending in with staff and visitors to monitor every interaction. His phone line is tapped. Every vehicle that passes his home is logged by license plate. Every person who comes within 50 feet of Thomas Hale gets a full background check and a photograph for the file. The FBI's plan is simple. Let the killer come to them. They do not need to find him. They just need to be waiting when he makes his move. They are determined to stop him before he can add a 15th name to his list. March 3rd arrives at 12 a.m., exactly on schedule. Thomas Hale wakes at his usual 6:30 a.m., just as he has every workday for the past 4 years. He eats oatmeal for breakfast, kisses his wife goodbye, and climbs into his sedan for the drive to the hospital. Undercover agents follow 3 cars back, keeping their distance, never breaking cover. He works his full 12-hour shift. He eats a turkey sandwich for lunch in the break room, laughing with 3 of his coworkers about a recent weekend trip. He helps 12 children with their pre-surgery check-ins, hands out stickers, and answers every parent's question. He clocks out at 7 p.m., stops for a gallon of milk at the grocery store on the way home, and pulls into his driveway at 7:42 p.m. He watches a Netflix movie with his wife, gets up to get 2 glasses of water at 9:15 p.m., and turns off the lights at 10:30 p.m. The hours keep ticking down. Midnight is getting closer. Nothing suspicious happens. No unknown car parks across the street. No stranger lingers at the hospital entrance. No unfamiliar figure walks past Thomas Hale's front gate. The surveillance team starts to talk in low voices over their radios. The shift commander checks the GPS log one more time, confirms Thomas Hale never left the FBI's line of sight for a single minute. They start to breathe easier. They think their presence has spooked the killer. They think he saw the agents, figured out the stakeout, and backed off to wait another year. At 11:47 p.m., the emergency call comes in over the police dispatch frequency. A neighbor reported a scream through the kitchen window of a house 3 streets away. A woman is unconscious on the floor. She is not breathing on her own. 2 uniformed officers are the first to arrive at the address. They park at the curb, draw their weapons, and clear the front yard before stepping onto the porch. The front door is unlocked. They push inside, move toward the kitchen where the scream was reported, and find her. Patricia Cross. She lies crumpled on the linoleum floor next to her half-empty coffee mug. Her pulse is faint, barely detectable under a patrol officer's fingers. Paramedics arrive 3 minutes later, load her onto a stretcher, and rush her to the nearest emergency room. They find clear signs of poison in the mug residue before they even leave the house. She survives, just barely, as the story says. The lead patrol officer checks her ID, confirms her name, and runs a quick search through the local paper's digital archive. He finds it in less than 2 minutes. 11 months earlier, she got a single 1-sentence mention in a small story about a community garden ribbon cutting. The article was 3 lines long, buried on page 12 of the Gazette. Nobody on the FBI task force flagged it when they were combing through back issues. They only focused on mentions from the past 12 months, after the last confirmed murder. They followed the established pattern too closely. They gave the killer an opening. And he took it. Patricia Cross survives, but she remembers nothing out of the ordinary from the weeks leading up to March 3rd. She cannot name any strangers lingering around her shop. She has not seen any unfamiliar cars parked repeatedly on her street. Nothing in her daily routine felt off. Nothing felt out of place. The FBI combs through every inch of her house and shop. They dust every surface for fingerprints. They pull every security camera feed from within a half-mile radius for the past 2 weeks. They interview every neighbor, every regular customer, every coworker who spoke to her in the month before the attack. They cross-reference every name on the local voter rolls against the mailing radius from the earlier handwritten letter. They run background checks on every person who ever interacted with any of the 14 confirmed victims. They reanalyze the letter's handwriting, the ink, the paper, the postmark, every single detail for the second time. Nothing leads anywhere. No match turns up. No suspicious name surfaces. No forensic link connects the killer to any single crime scene. Today, the investigation remains open, but it has nowhere to go. The manhunt has not pushed him into hiding. It has not forced him to run. He goes about his daily life exactly as he always has. He still wakes at the same time every morning. He still stops for coffee at the same corner shop. He still makes small talk with the cashier, holds the door for strangers walking behind him, and nods at the neighbors who pass him on the sidewalk. He has already done what he needs to do. He selected his next victim before the last March 3rd ever arrived. He waited until after the last attempt, after the investigation quieted, after the FBI pulled most of their agents out of Harlow City. Then he turned to the latest issue of the Harlow City Gazette. He flipped through the pages, slow and deliberate, scanning every name, every small mention, every ordinary person who has stepped just far enough into public view to be noticed. He made his choice. He wrote the name down in a small notebook he keeps locked in a desk drawer at home. The notebook has no other entries, no other names, nothing that could link him to any of the previous 14 victims. He closes the drawer, locks it, and puts the key in his pocket. He does not need to rush. He has 11 full months. 11 months to learn the route his next victim takes to work every morning. 11 months to memorize the layout of their house, the time they leave for groceries every week, the days their grandkids come to visit. 11 months to watch from the end of the block, from the park across the street, from the coffee shop 2 doors down from their workplace. Never close enough to be remembered, never close enough to stand out. He will pick the perfect method, the one that will look like an accident, like a random crime, like it belongs. He will leave nothing behind. No fingerprints, no DNA, no digital trail. He is patient. He is disciplined. He does not make mistakes. And March 3rd always comes. It is only 11 months away. This story is inspired by real cases of methodical killers who operated undetected for decades. Killers who were patient, organized, and hid in plain sight in quiet, small communities that never suspected them. The Clockwork Killer of Harlow City is a work of fiction. But the patterns we laid out are real. The methods are real. The invisibility that lets a killer blend into ordinary life without anyone noticing, that is real. Right now, we leave the case open to you. We want to hear your answers to 3 core questions. Who do you think the Clockwork Killer is? What is his real motive for killing one stranger every single year on March 3rd? And most importantly, what step would you take that the FBI missed to catch him? Leave your full, well-supported theory in the comments section below this video. We will read every single submission. The best supported, most compelling theory will be featured and discussed in full in our next episode. This case has a story, but it does not yet have an ending. Over to you.